Good day to all of you watching. Before we dive into today's techniques, I want to share a remarkable story that inspired this video series. It's about resilience, about finding natural solutions when conventional medicine fails, and about the incredible power our minds have over our bodies. Meet John, a 78-year-old Vietnam veteran who battled PTSD and severe sleep issues for over a decade. Like many veterans, the invisible wounds of war followed him home, manifesting in disturbed sleep patterns that medication couldn't fully address. His journey to finding restful sleep without the fog of medication is not just inspiring. It provides practical wisdom for anyone struggling with sleep issues, especially our veterans. John's story teaches us that sometimes the most powerful solutions are already within us. Today, I'll walk you through the 6 parts of his journey and how you can adapt his self-hypnosis techniques for your own peaceful night's rest. Whether you're a veteran yourself or simply someone seeking better sleep without medication side effects, these techniques could be life-changing. Let's begin with understanding John's struggle and how he ultimately programmed his mind for better sleep. At 78, John still vividly remembers the sounds and sensations of Vietnam. The helicopter rotors, the humidity, the constant vigilance. These memories didn't stay in Southeast Asia. They followed him home, settling into his nervous system and disrupting his sleep patterns for decades. "I never thought I'd be fighting another battle at this age," John told me. But PTSD doesn't care how old you are. For the past 10 years, John's sleep had deteriorated to merely 4 hours per night. He would lie awake, intrusive thoughts and memories playing on repeat in his mind. Sometimes flashbacks would jolt him awake, just as he was drifting off. Other times, anxiety about the next day would keep his mind racing until dawn. The sleep deprivation affected everything: his mood, his cognitive function, his relationships. John described feeling half alive most days, operating in a fog of exhaustion that medication only seemed to worsen. What makes John's case particularly interesting is his active lifestyle. Despite his age, he still operates chainsaws and drives tractors on his rural property. "When you're handling heavy machinery," he explained, "you can't afford to be drowsy from last night's sleeping pill. One moment of inattention could cost you a limb, or worse." This reality created a dangerous dilemma: suffer through sleep deprivation or risk operating machinery while experiencing medication side effects. Neither option was sustainable, and John knew something had to change before his health or safety was seriously compromised. John's search for better sleep began where many veterans do, at the VA hospital pharmacy. His doctor first prescribed conventional sleeping medications, starting with low doses and gradually increasing as tolerance developed. While these medications helped John fall asleep initially, they came with significant drawbacks. "I'd get maybe 6 hours of sleep," John recalled, "but I'd wake up feeling like I was underwater. My thinking was cloudy, my reactions were slow, and I didn't feel like myself until afternoon." When prescription medications failed to provide satisfactory results, John began exploring over-the-counter options: sleep aids, antihistamines with drowsiness as a side effect, herbal supplements. His medicine cabinet became a graveyard of partially used bottles, each representing a failed attempt at restful sleep. As the wellness industry boomed, John ventured into newer alternatives. CBD oil promised natural relief without the hangover effect. "It helped with some of my pain," John noted, "but didn't do much for my sleep. And the good quality stuff wasn't cheap on a fixed income." His final pharmaceutical attempt was melatonin, the hormone naturally produced by the body to regulate sleep cycles. While it helped him fall asleep more quickly, John still experienced that familiar morning grogginess, what sleep specialists call sleep inertia, which was particularly pronounced in someone his age. After a decade of chemical solutions, John calculated he had spent thousands of dollars and countless hours pursuing better sleep, only to face the same frustrating choice: poor sleep or morning impairment. For someone who prided himself on self-sufficiency and clarity of mind, neither option was acceptable. What many people don't realize about John is that his journey with mind-body techniques began long before his sleep issues intensified. At 16, years before being drafted into the Vietnam War, John had his first encounter with meditation through a book he found at his local library. It was the 1960s, and Eastern philosophy was just beginning to enter American consciousness. John explained, "I was a curious kid, and the idea that you could control your physical state through mental discipline fascinated me." This early exposure to meditation created a foundation that would prove invaluable decades later. As a teenager, John practiced simple breathing techniques and visualization. Though he didn't maintain a consistent practice through his military years and early adult life, he never forgot the sense of calm these techniques could produce. Throughout the years, John would occasionally return to meditation during particularly stressful periods. After losing his wife to cancer in his 60s, he attended a mindfulness workshop at his local veteran center, which rekindled his interest in the practice. "Meditation helped me process grief in ways talking couldn't," he reflected. "It taught me that the mind and body aren't separate systems. They're constantly communicating." This background gave John an advantage when conventional sleep solutions failed him. He already understood that mental states could influence physical reactions. He had experienced how focused attention could slow his heart rate and reduce muscle tension. Most importantly, he believed in the possibility of influencing his own physiology, a belief not everyone shares when first approaching mind-body techniques. This foundation in meditation served as fertile ground for his later experiments with self-hypnosis, allowing him to approach the practice with both openness and healthy skepticism. When John first considered self-hypnosis for sleep, he had to overcome some misconceptions. "I thought hypnosis was just stage entertainment, people clucking like chickens or forgetting their names," he laughed. "I didn't realize it could be a serious therapeutic tool." His education began with several books on clinical hypnotherapy and its applications for sleep disorders and PTSD. John learned that hypnosis wasn't about surrendering control, but about focusing attention so deeply that suggestions could bypass the critical mind and speak directly to the subconscious. "The research actually made sense to me," John said. "If trauma could program my brain for hypervigilance without my consent, why couldn't I deliberately program it for restful sleep?" John created a systematic approach to self-hypnosis, beginning with simple relaxation techniques. Each night, he would sit on the edge of his bed, close his eyes, and count backward from 100, visualizing each number floating away. This initial practice helped him identify what hypnotherapists call the hypnotic threshold, the point where the conscious mind begins to quiet and suggestibility increases. He supplemented his practice by listening to guided hypnosis recordings, specifically designed for veterans with PTSD. These recordings helped him understand the rhythm and language patterns effective in hypnotic suggestion. After several weeks of consistent practice, John felt confident enough to create his own self-hypnosis routine without external guidance. He recorded his voice delivering sleep suggestions and played them back during his pre-sleep ritual. Later, he internalized these recordings, mentally rehearsing them until they became second nature. What began as a desperate experiment soon developed into a sophisticated practice, tailored to his specific needs and triggers. John's self-hypnosis routine evolved through trial and error into a 5-step process that consistently produced results. Here's how he implements it each night. First, he prepares his environment, dimming lights an hour before bed, silencing his phone, and ensuring his bedroom is cool and quiet. Setting the stage is crucial, John emphasized. Self-hypnosis works best when external distractions are minimized. Next, he assumes what he calls his receptive position, lying on his back with arms at his sides, palms facing upward. He begins with progressive muscle relaxation, tensing and releasing each muscle group from his toes to his scalp. This physical relaxation primes his body for the mental work to follow. The third step transitions into the hypnotic state through controlled breathing and visualization. John imagines descending a staircase with 10 steps, each breath taking him deeper into relaxation. By the final step, my conscious mind is quieted enough to be receptive to suggestion, he explained. Fourth comes the actual suggestion phase, the programming component that makes his technique so effective. Speaking silently to himself in present tense, he delivers clear, positive instructions. My mind is calm. My body knows how to sleep deeply through the night. I will sleep soundly until morning, just as if I've taken a sleeping pill, but I will wake feeling refreshed and alert. Finally, John addresses potential disruptions. If intrusive thoughts arise, they dissolve quickly like mist in morning sunshine. Nothing disturbs my peaceful sleep. The entire process takes approximately 15 minutes, after which John simply allows himself to drift naturally into sleep without forcing or monitoring the process. The transformation in John's sleep quality was not instantaneous, but progressive. The first night, I noticed I fell asleep more quickly, he recalled. By the end of first week, I was sleeping for longer stretches without waking. After a month of consistent practice, John was regularly sleeping 6 to 7 hours per night, a dramatic improvement from his previous 4-hour average. More importantly, he was waking naturally around 7 a.m. feeling refreshed rather than groggy. The difference in how I feel during the day is remarkable, John shared. My thinking is clearer, my mood is more stable, and I have energy that lasts throughout the day. Perhaps most significantly for a veteran with PTSD, John reports a reduction in nightmare frequency and intensity. When I do dream now, they're ordinary dreams, not combat flashbacks. And I'm dreaming more in general, which sleep experts tell me is a sign of healthier sleep cycles. These improvements have cascaded into other areas of his life. With better rest, John has the mental clarity to engage more fully with his hobbies and social connections. His physical health has improved as well. His blood pressure has stabilized, and chronic inflammation has decreased. Benefits his doctor attributes to improved sleep quality. John continues to refine his technique, adapting it as needed when new stressors arise. He's even begun teaching a simplified version to fellow veterans at his local VFW post, where the response has been overwhelmingly positive. At 78, I never expected to sleep better than I did at 68, John reflected. But here I am, living proof that you can teach an old dog new tricks, especially when that trick is programming your own mind. John's journey from sleep-deprived veteran to well-rested self-hypnosis practitioner demonstrates the remarkable potential of our minds to overcome even deeply entrenched patterns. His story reminds us that sometimes the most effective solutions aren't found in a pill bottle, but within ourselves. If you've been inspired by John's experience and want to explore self-hypnosis for better sleep, remember that like any skill, it requires patience and consistent practice. The techniques outlined in this video are a starting point. You'll likely need to personalize them to address your specific sleep challenges. Thank you for joining us for this exploration of mind-body techniques for better sleep. If you found value in John's story, please consider subscribing to our channel for more videos on veteran wellness, natural sleep solutions, and the power of mind-body connection. In our next episode, we'll dive deeper into specific self-hypnosis scripts you can use for different sleep issues, including falling asleep faster, staying asleep through the night, and addressing sleep-disrupting anxiety. Until then, sweet dreams, and remember, your mind is the most powerful tool you possess. Learning to use it effectively might just be the key to the restful sleep you deserve.